guess what I'm wearing? Nothing, baby. I'm kind of in the nude, you might say. All right, this is something we've never discussed on the show. Being nude. Being free with your body. The skivvies out. The birthday suit. Now, I'm not necessarily in the nude, but I kind of feel a little naked, and you might be questioning and clutching your pearls too. Well, I have two people who get more out of life by wearing less clothing. So, y'all ready to discuss what it's like being in the nude?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, what's up for a nightcap? Chill, you know, kick back.
All right, let's talk to my friends, shall we, and get to know a little bit more about how they prescribe to life, shall we? All right, we've got Emily Renee, who's a familiar face when we went to Round Top. You are a fashion designer, and I loved your pieces. But during that conversation, off camera, you said you were a nudist fashion designer. So
Indeed.
That definitely sparked a whole conversation with us here on the Nightcap, and we decided, you know what, we need to have this conversation here in the studio, and you finally came.
I'm excited.
Yes, we're gonna learn a lot. And we've got Philip here for the very first time.
Hello.
And in a past life, you were a master distiller, right?
Yep, I worked for a distillery in Dripping Springs, Texas for like 8 years.
Oh, wow. So you know a thing or two.
I've made some booze.
You've made some booze. All right, well, we'd love for you to make some libations for us while we discuss nudity.
Yeah.
We're going to bear it all tonight.
Uh-huh.
Well, I have to ask about this fabulous dress, by the way. So that's exactly what you would think when you hear someone is a nudist fashion designer, that I would make things like this.
Yes,
you
and
know?
this is not what you make.
It's not at all what I make. It's, but when you came out and you said, I never thought I would wear this dress.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, the questions. I'm already getting grilled. It seems revealing. It seems like I'm giving too much, maybe.
Have you ever been in a scenario where, not just like a one-on-one encounter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like in a scenario where you were indeed unclothed with multiple other people, or even just with one other person that, if it wasn't,
That wasn't
but
my
not
significant other?
specifically, yeah, that wasn't your significant other.
Cousins, best friends, mother, and that's probably it. So family. So am I not or am I a nudist because of that? Or am I not because it's only family? Or are you only asking to see how comfortable I am in the nude?
We all are at some point in our natural skin. But when other people are around in any way, whether it's a social environment or just the fact of being seen, so much comes up. And for me, being in one's body without adornment and being seen, it brings up so much.
Do you think it's because there's nothing between your full self and the other person in the room?
It's more about you being with your full self and just knowing that someone else is there. It's less about what they actually think, to me. I mean, I don't know, what's your experience of that?
I mean, it's like being comfortable, and being the same level of comfort by yourself taking a shower, or like if you're by yourself swimming naked versus being around numerous other people. It's like, for me, there's no difference there. Like, I'm just as comfortable being with a group of people naked as I am by myself.
By yourself.
Is that kind of the bridge you're referencing?
Yeah, because...
So you think it's a discomfort with you and your own skin rather than what you think other people perceive you as?
I think it's both. I think another big part is other people's comfort levels. I think a lot of people don't get naked because they don't want other people to be comfortable. And like, if there's ever a reason I don't get naked, if I'm like at a river swimming, it's usually because of that. And like kids, like it's just not a good look to be swimming around a bunch of like kids that you don't know.
Right.
Like if it's like kids I know and I know their parents are cool with it, hell yeah, I'll do that. But.
And there are a bunch of naturist sites all around.
I'm sorry, naturist?
Naturist. So nudist and naturist, ultimately the main difference in that is that the naturist it tends to be more of like being naked in natural settings.
Oh.
And like a sense of like swimming naked in a creek, this kind of thing. So there are campsites, there are places that are specifically for naturists. It sounds like you're going to a nudist resort. I haven't been to in those kind of scenarios, but the naturist version is a little bit more
in tune with nature, maybe?
in tune with nature.
Like, I'm going to be my full self among the woods in this body of water kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you more of a naturist as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've never even heard that term before
naturist?
today.
Okay, before
yeah.
today. Okay.
Referencing
So then what are
nudity.
you? Do you prescribe to the term nudist?
No, I just
No.
like
You just
I
like being
am,
naked.
and I enjoy it, and I'm comfortable with it. And I would never go to a nudist colony. I think at any point that it becomes like this like ideological concept that you want to like create for yourself, then I'm no longer interested. It's like
Also, part of what was interesting to me about that is so if you go to the nudist colony, it's like you have to take off your clothes. There's to engage. So like at a nudist beach, typically if you are clothed, you don't speak to people who are naked. And that is great. There's kind of a relief in that. So in my house, I was living in New Orleans, and I had neighbors in my building, in my house upstairs, that we all shared a yard, and I would water the garden naked. And it's so wonderful. If you don't garden naked, I highly recommend it. If nothing else, water your garden naked, you know? I mean, I understand neighbors and this and that, but for me, I had other neighbors that even shared my yard that just understood that this is how it is. And this is another thing that you get over it surprisingly quickly.
Oh no, we're gonna have to dive into your origin stories. Are you guys down to share like how you...
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, I'm gonna find out how Emily and Philip decided it's so much more fun when you bear it all. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've been talking about being in your birthday suit, being nude, and bearing it all. We've got Emily, Renee, and Philip who have been sharing about, I don't want to call it lifestyle because it's not a lifestyle for y'all. It's just how you live, right?
It is how I would live all of my life if I really could. That's actually, I had a costume. So Mardi Gras in New Orleans, I had made a costume for Mardi Gras, and part of it was a leather top that I wanted to look topless from the back for a centaur. And so it was a pretty minimal, basically like a leather bikini top.
Yeah.
And I realized, this counts as clothes? I can get away with just wearing this? And it really shifted something in my world. And I did a lot of traveling, and I took that and I made like a simple leather skirt to go with it. And I was not wearing a lot of clothes. And I wore it in all kind of different circumstances. And maybe it was a little bit of being cheeky where I was like, technically I'm wearing clothes, so this counts. And this is me breaking some of those rules of like the hyper modesty of conservative Christian culture in which I grew up in North Louisiana.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to know is like, are you intentionally pushing the boundary?
I think when, growing up in a culture of it being wrong to show too much skin or like to be like a temptress, better that a millstone be tied around your neck than you cause your brother to stumble. I felt very wrong. Just for having, especially if you have an attractive body, there's a lot of wrongness there.
Yeah.
And sort of coming from that place into standing naked in the sun, no matter who is or isn't around, and knowing that me being in my own body is natural and is okay.
I've asked my guy friends if they prefer for a woman to be in lingerie or if they would rather her just come out naked. And the majority of them said lingerie.
Absolutely.
There is something that happens with the imagination and envisioning what could possibly be going on underneath, and then being able to unwrap it, right? As opposed to her just coming out handing it on a silver platter.
That was a big moment for me of getting to the place to somewhere that you can actually be naked. It is very, very different than like wearing a bikini on the beach where you're like constantly thinking it's not that different. Like it's a little bit of fabric.
It is
but
very
it is
different.
very different.
But is so, yeah, it's very...
Also swimming naked, girl.
I do enjoy swimming naked, but it's a hard,
the best.
It's a hard thing to do in public.
You just gotta go to places where there's less people. It's not why I canoe, but I do a lot of canoeing, so I go far out, and I can be naked for an entire day paddling with sunscreen.
With
Gotta have
Have you
sunscreen.
experienced a sunburn in your nether regions before?
Yeah, it only takes once.
And then never again.
Never again.
Oh, we're gonna have to dive into that. And we're gonna have to take a sip of these cocktails. Okay, coming up next, Philip is gonna introduce these wonderful cocktails he's been working on and share how he decided he was gonna bear it all. You stay right there, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've got Emily, Renee, and Philip here sharing about bearing it all. And Philip just made a delicious cocktail for us. All right, what is this, darling?
It's just a creation. We decided on a name today. What was it?
Nothing but Spritz.
Nothing but Spritz. It's just a lemon cordial that I made. And it has like lemon zest in it, so it's like very aromatic.
Yes.
So that, Aperol, and a little bit of tequila, and then
Topped off with some
topo to make it a summer light beverage. So
something that you could enjoy naked outside.
Oh,
Yeah.
I put it right on my belly button and just enjoy it.
All right, Philip. How? And I feel like men are a little bit tamer when it comes to taking off their clothes, especially in front of other people. So, you as a man, how did you venture into getting naked outside?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's like one specific moment that I was like, oh yeah, this is great, I like this. I grew up with parents that were very much hippies, and I grew up in situations where there was many adults swimming naked and hanging out, and I never really thought it was much of a thing. The story that comes out the most that I remember is I was probably like 6 years old, and it was probably past my bedtime, and like all the adults were getting a little saucy, and I just decided to throw a ball that was probably pretty hard at this friend's face. He was probably like 60 at the time. Hit him right on the head, and he got up. I don't know how mad he was. I think it was more just like chasing me as like that was just what he chose to do. So I was running around like the deck and in the yard getting chased about head level of a big guy running around butt naked. So it wasn't scarring. It was just, it's a funny story, and it's just like I said, I grew up very much with it being normalized. And it's like, obviously, like, you read the room. Like, there are circumstances where like you're gonna make a lot of people really uncomfortable.
Have y'all ever had anyone say like, what the are you doing? Put your clothes on?
I've been yelled at a couple times, but
By strangers or by friends?
Strangers. Yeah. I've never had a friend like
Yeah.
be uncomfortable or like bring it up.
I've even had my conservative Christian family, that would never swim naked, especially in a public place. Like we go somewhere beautiful on vacation, and they were like, all right, y'all, everybody better turn around because Emily's about to get naked and swim in this gorgeous water. They just know. But realistically, sometimes there are ways of kind of pushing the boundaries that it's not necessarily about exhibitionism.
I mean, that's literally what I was going to ask. Is it being exhibitionist?
To me, it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Sex is not part of this.
There is a clear defined difference for me between it being sexual and being just something that you enjoy doing. I mean, like, there's been numerous times where I've swam butt naked with just guys. And, like, I think that's a difference. You're talking about often females are more likely to do it. Where like me and my buddies have swam perfectly naked, and it's not a thing, and we're comfortable. And it's like the practicality of it. It's like nobody likes wet clothes.
Right.
So it's like you get naked, and then you like put on your dry clothes, and it's great.
Yeah.
I feel like for women, there's a whole different thing going on as well of just being comfortable with yourself. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like of being able to be comfortable. Sure, it helps in the sexy times as well.
Yeah.
To be able to look in the mirror at yourself naked and not just be like judgment.
Ugh.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to relax and to notice things that you appreciate about who you are, you know? And for me, whether it's watering the garden naked or swimming or even just like cooking naked, being like doing housework, like whatever, basically any time that I don't have to wear clothes, I prefer not to. So if you're curious about
we're gonna give some tips.
What it is.
We need to give some tips. All right, listen. We're gonna find out, if you're curious, how you can start tiptoeing into nudity. All right, you stay right there. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Nightcap. We've been talking about bearing it all and being nude, baby. We've got Emily, Renee, and Philip. And Emily, you are ready to tell the people some tips, like if they're curious, like what?
For sure. I mean, obviously like in my world, I'd be curious to hear for you, but like for me, just take off your clothes in some place that you feel at home. Like for me, my backyard, by the garden, just
Like that's a good small
feel
step.
the sun on your skin. I mean, sunscreen, maybe a good idea. but find some scenario where you can be completely naked. I love watering the garden because you can also like run the water hose over yourself. Have a beautiful moment of being naked. And then also, like a lot of my neighbors would also, when they saw me completely relaxed, watering the garden naked, they were like, you know what? They would at first just take off like a little bit, like get into a swimsuit. But like the transition, I challenge you to do it, is to let go of that vestige of like the swimsuit, the lingerie, and actually be naked because it is completely different. Instead of having like the like flirting behavior of lingerie or a bikini, there's something very like straightforward about actually being naked. That's where I'm like, I'm excited for you to go to the nudist resort and to actually have a moment where you look at a person and then after a couple seconds, after a couple minutes, however long it takes, you actually do relax in a way that if they were in like super sexy lingerie or like that dress, there is a relaxation point that if you haven't gotten there, don't worry, you can do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
All
right, Philip, what you tell the people, or the men specifically, because I feel like men are really, really self-conscious.
Well, I think the biggest thing is like, don't just pick times where you're like, don't have your motivation to be like, oh, I'm gonna get naked, so like these girls will get naked, I get to look at them. Like, don't be creepy, don't be weird. Like, have the right motivation for it. So like she was saying, just like do it because you recognize and enjoy the sensation of just like being naked and like getting comfortable with it. And then over time, like know the right people. And don't talk about it. Don't make it weird. Don't like put it in your calendar. Like, let's go to the river and get naked next Tuesday.
No, so don't schedule.
I don't think scheduling is the vibe for it. I think just like let it happen and just be around people that you know are receptive to it.
Okay. Have something to sit on. Something to sit on. You know, we said sunscreen, but also just know that everything you're afraid people are gonna see when they look at you in your clothes, they're going to see. And it's not gonna be as big of a deal as you are afraid that it will be. But once you see each other, once you see yourself, a lot of that like fixation on like trying to imagine someone's body under their clothes falls away, and there's something very wonderful for yourself and for your interactions when you're able to be relaxed and naked around other people.
I love it. Awesome. Thank y'all so much for coming on and bearing it all. I appreciate you. All right, cheers to you at home. If you decide to bare some skin, do it. Wear some sunscreen, have a place to sit, and don't schedule it. All right? We'll see you guys next time.